Welcome guys to another episode of Hypixel Skyblock. So today I'm going to be teaching you guys some budget Voidgloom setups that you can use. Now I'm actually going to be doing tier 1 through tier 4. I'm going to be doing all 4 of them. So if you're struggling on like a tier 2, then I will have a section for that. And if you're in between them but you need to find out a way that you can get better stuff, or what stuff you should get, that should be there. So let's get right into it. So for a tier 1 setup, what you're going to want is Ender Armor. You don't need any equipment, although some might be nice, just Ender Armor. So I'm just going to be using Fierce Ender Armor, and it will have Growth 5, Prot 5. That's it. I'm going to be using an Endstone Sword as a damage sword. You should probably use a different type of sword. An Aspect of the End or something would be good. The only reason I'm using an Endstone Sword is because I have some pretty high skills compared to what most people will have, and my Skyblock level is pretty high, especially if you're going for a budget setup, then it's probably not going to be that high. So the way this is going to work is I'm going to do tier 1 in this gear. This is just to like get as close in damage as I possibly can. Now I will be showing how expensive all the gear is in the top left. The only thing is I will not be doing it for tier 1 because most of it is soulbound, so it doesn't cost anything. You just have to grind for it yourself. So the pet I will be using is an Epic Enderman. It's only about 100k, so that's fairly cheap. My accessory bag, I'm going to keep all of my accessories in, except I will not have my Ender Relic or Ender Artifact in here. I'm not going to be doing them or using them for any of the tiers, not even tier 4. So this setup will be as cheap as it possibly can be. So now I'm going to spawn a tier 1, and I will come back when it's ready to be spawned. So I'm actually ready to spawn a tier 1, and just one thing I'd like to point out is I am going to have a God Pod active for all of them. So when I spawn it, spawn it, I'm going to stand back so it doesn't just like instantly hit me and kill me. And when I get through the hits phase, I just keep hitting it. And it hasn't hit me yet. Okay, there it has. But it doesn't really hurt too much because the Ender Armor just kind of helps out with that. And that was fairly easy. If you did have trouble with that, you can use a Remnant of the Eye. So that will keep you alive if you're about to die, and that will not be a problem anymore. So for a tier 2 setup, we are going to want a Void Edge Katana. We're going to want something that has a good amount of enchants. Something like this. Sharp, maybe not. Here's Fabled for 1 million coins. That one is pretty good. Has 1 hot potato book, so, 1 million coins isn't too much. Not amazing, but I think I will take that for 1 million coins. So that's pretty good. Then we're also going to want a Mana Flux. Mana Flux Power Orb. And that will be 2.85 million coins. And then that should be enough to do a tier 2. So we're going to also want Soul Flow. If you don't already have some, you can just buy that on the bazaar. If you do have some, that's great. But this should increase our damage by a lot. We're still going to be using an Epic Enderman pet, which is still 100k. And we're also going to be using our Ender Armor. We're not going to upgrade this yet. So once we actually get the kills, then I'll come back and explain what we should do from there. So when getting ready for your tier 2, you want to do at least 200k damage if you only have this setup. So now I'm going to actually end up spawning it here. I have made sure to have a bunch of remnants in my inventory and my Void Edge Katana. So, okay, now we've spawned, placed down the Mana Flux. We're going to use our Endstone ability as well as our Void Edge ability. And once we get through the hits phase, we're going to want to use this ability again, then the Endstone, just to keep us alive. And it seems to be going fairly well, although we have lost a lot of health. All right, back in another hits phase. Now, actually hitting one of these can increase damage a little bit. All right, so I might end up using a remnant here, although, whoa. All right, there we actually used one remnant of the eye, but it should be okay as long as we continue to do enough damage to it. Oh, we used another one. So when a beacon spawns, we have to stand like right next to it or on top of it. Either one works fine. Oh, that's why I'm not doing so. I have to replace my mana flux. That is something that's pretty important to remember. I'm going to use my endstone ability again. Come back over here. And, okay, don't get in my way. And we made it through a tier 2. It took a while, but this setup is very cheap. It only costs about 4, maybe 5 million coins. So that is not that much of a problem. And I think most people should be able to afford this in a very short amount of time. Now, when we're actually going for the tier 3 setup, we're going to be changing a lot and it's going to get quite a bit more expensive. So for a tier 3 setup, what we're going to need is, first off, we're going to have to buy a full stack of soul flow, which is 3 million coins. Now, we're also going to we're going to use the same sword. We're going to want a Reaper Scythe with souls on it, specifically Wither Specters. They are probably the best type. You could also use tank zombies from Master Mode. That would also work out pretty well. Now, we're actually still going to be using a mana flux, but something that will help us is a Sword of Bad Health. That will go fairly well, and we're going to upgrade to Final Destination. Now, if you have more than 10,000 kills on it, that's ideal. Anything less might actually hurt quite a bit. We're still going to have some remnants of the eye, but it shouldn't be too much of a problem anymore. The Endstone Sword should be pretty good, and I think that we should make it through a tier 3 fairly easily. Alright, so we are actually here with our setup. We're ready, and tier 3 is about to spawn, which is pretty cool. And there it is. So I'm going to place Mana Flux and then use my Reaper Scythe. Now those guys should actually get through the hits phase. Now I'm going to sneak and use the abilities, because now this should end up actually helping us to do more damage and hit it more because of the Final Destination ability. It's pretty good compared to Ender Armor, because that Ender Armor was pretty cheap. It didn't actually cost a lot. And we might actually... Alright, we're going to use the souls over there. Oh no, don't fall down here. I'm going to use Mana Flux again and use all the abilities. Although it looks like we still might end up dying and using a Remnant. That's okay. Here we go. Okay, we used one Remnant, although it does appear that we're tanking it pretty well. Alright. So now we're in... Okay, we have to place another Mana Flux. Win it. Okay, there we go. So when these heads spawn, we have to look at them. You might not have a mod that highlights them in red, but even if you don't, it should be okay. You just have to make sure to actually look at them, because if you don't, they do really hurt. Sometimes the beacons go like in the floor, which can be super annoying. But as long as you still find them, you should be fine. They will one-hit you and use up a Remnant, but we still made it through a tier 3, which is great. Now, next on our list, we are going to be going for a tier 4. That could be a real issue. Because some of this gear might not be so good, but I think we can actually make it through pretty easily as long as we make sure to do everything at the right time. So going for a tier 4 setup, the only thing I'm actually going to change is now I'm using an atom split. Now mine is tier 7, but tier 6 works just fine. The difference is like 0.1% damage or something. It's barely a difference. So tier 6 atom split will do just fine. I'm not even going to be upgrading the mana flux. It's going to stay the same. And the only one thing that I do have to point out that must be remembered is remnants of the eye do not work in this area. You have to stay out there for them to work. It might be nice to spawn them in here, but make sure you do not kill them or try to kill them in here because it will just not work out well. You have to do it in the other room. So I hope this works well. I can't tell if that's going to spawn or not. I think it won't. So going out here, we're going to place our mana flux. It should teleport to me any second now. Here we are. So using the endstone ability and the atom split to stay, we're staying alive as well as we can. And there we go. It's actually in its first laser phase. Now, some of these people might actually try and help, not knowing that they can. So I'm going to use Sword of Bad Health and then atom split and then swap over to endstone sword. All right, so we actually did end up using a remnant there, which is fine. Okay, now that we're there, we should place down mana flux again. So sometimes, all right, there we go. There we go. So Sword of Bad Health and Final Destination ability. We actually, hello. All right, there we go. So using everything, we should pro. So, okay, so this is going okay. Could be going worse. Just got to make sure not to let the summons die, because that could. Okay. There we go. Okay, we actually got to the beacon in time. So, here we go. And we're in the last phase. Place down mana flux just again in case. Get the beacon. And we're getting close. And we did it. 150 seconds. Not very fast, but we made it through alive, which is pretty cool. Thank you guys very much for watching this episode of Hypixel Skyblock. So if you did enjoy this video, make sure to leave a like and subscribe. Just a reminder that there is a giveaway going on right now in my Discord that will be ending tomorrow. So if you do want to participate, you should go check it out. And I will see you guys next time.